Hi, I'm Mike Stanzik and this is Digital Electronics Classroom, and in this video we're going to build an active high switch from scratch on this breadboard. So the first piece that I have here are my leads. These are connected to my power supply, and so we have 5 volts across them from the red here to the black. And I want to connect a switch to the 5 volt part, and so I'm going to put in this switch right here, the little button. Okay, so it's going to be an active high button, and then I'm going to plug in my 5 volts to the top side of that button. And so when I press this button now, this button's going to connect that top 5 volts to the bottom part there. Okay, so many people think that then at this point we just want to send that output to the device we're trying to provide power to, but we actually need one more thing here. We need what's called a pull down resistor. And so we're going to place this pull down resistor, and I'm going to use a 10K value here, and it's going to go to the negative side of my power supply, the ground if you will. Okay, and so what this does for us now is that when this is pressed, it doesn't connect the 5 volts directly to ground because that's connecting there. So now there's a 10K resistor in between, which allows there to be current flow, still maintaining 5 volts at the top and ground at the bottom, and not draining our power supply or causing a problem with our power supply, drawing too much current. And so you always have to have that pull down resistor when you're building this active high circuit. So you have your button on the top connecting your 5 volts, and then you have a connection between the bottom part of that button to our ground. Okay, so now the important piece, the piece of interest here, is the bottom part of that button. That's going to send off to something that we want to control. And in this case, we're going to control a LED. So on this side of the board, I'll go ahead and plug in an LED. Right, like that. Okay, and then we'll go ahead and connect, and I have some small connecting wires here. We'll connect the bottom part of this switch to the top part of that LED. So now when I press this, the power is routed to the LED, but nothing happens. That's because the LED, if you see, it has a bottom terminal, and that's connected to nothing. And so we have to finish building that part of the circuit too. Now for an LED, it typically needs about 1.5 volts to turn on. And so we need to expend the rest of that voltage, that 5 volts, over a resistor. And so this resistor is called the current limiting resistor, and the value of that resistor determines how bright the LED will be. And we're not going into that right now, but I'm just going to use a 220, which is a common value for this. And then I'm going to connect this to ground because we have to go back down to that same common point. And so don't worry too much about what that circuit is. I want you to pay attention more to this architecture that we have for the button. 5 volts in, across the button, through a pull down resistor, 10K value to our ground. And now when I press the button, it will connect active high, so actively connect that high signal to our LED, and then the LED does light up. And so that's how we build an active high button. Pretty straightforward. Hope you found some value in this video. I'm Mike Stanzik for Digital Electronics Classroom. Have a wonderful day.